Fish is back, Ep.7. Today's guest is Stuart Abel. But before we go in to Stuart's story, can you please like, share, subscribe? And Jordan's got a wee message for you about buying me a coffee.
Every week, man, I end up shitting myself.
You're getting it, but
I'll just tell you, Costa.
If you like a podcast, buy me a coffee's a way to support it. It's got absolutely fuck all to do with coffee, but it starts at a $5. You can donate anything you want. It just helps us pay for studio time, McDonald's on the way up, and anything else. So I support us.
Do you get any messages of
No, I'm alright.
maturity?
Oh, I can't do maturity. You know me.
I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe there, and I was talking. I forgot to breathe.
So Stuart Abel, safe to say he's lived a wild life. It's took a remarkable turn, a serious twist.
Life.
So Stuart, how are you doing, mate?
I'm alright. I've been better, I suppose, but I'm doing okay considering.
Good.
Before we get into your story, as I said, you were right into your. This will become apparent why we're kind of bringing this up. Is extreme sports fanatic. You've had write-ups reference this story as well. You lived life to the full. You were into your Thai boxing.
Aye, for a long time.
Trained in Thailand, but you were a doorman as well.
I worked at doors in Glasgow for. Started in Cube way back in 2001. And you guys that worked in the doors.
Wow, Cube.
Aye, Cube has come back a bit.
I think I fingered my first birthday.
a couple of times.
So I knew guys that worked indoors, and I was always out, and I got offered a job. So you're out all the time, why do you just make money while you're out? And that's how I got into it. I figured I'll do it for a couple of months, get some extra money, and then get back to normal. And
That's always the same, innit? I'll do it a
happened.
couple of months, and 2 years down the line, how was this only supposed to be for 2
you end up
months from
stuck.
my day here?
no, I was still working in sanctuary up until until my symptoms started. So I was,
Stuart,
my
you know
last
many
job.
times I've tried to get in the sanctuary and they've never let me in. Then I look like the type of guy you want in there.
No,
Mate,
you
I
look
don't
like
know with
somebody's
that
lost
fucking
uncle.
shirt.
What's the script with a shirt, Tony?
Just thought it looks good on me, mate.
I don't even want
I thought it looked like a bit of a Colombian, but
Trying to blend in.
trying to blend in, but that's not my favourite nationality. My favourite nationality is Brazilians, obviously.
You fucking Pablo Tesco.
Like a wee bit of a landing strip, so aye.
So obviously, sure, that's just a quick kind of brief intro on who you are, but November last year.
November the 24th last year, I was admitted to hospital on the 4th for tests after my neurologist noticed significant muscle wastage on top of everything else. There was, like, my muscles in my upper body were twitching constantly and uncontrollably, even when I was sitting still and trying to relax. And although they thought it was functional in the beginning, for it to be functional, I wouldn't have experienced the muscle wastage that I've experienced. You know, I've lost a lot of muscle over the last, say, 9 to 12 months.
Did you feel this kind of attacking you, or was it sudden? Like, did it just?
It was the doctors think it started with stiffness in my neck, but I disagree, because the stiffness in my neck would put down to because of my job. I worked above my head all the time because I was always measuring and fitting blinds.
Mm-hmm.
So constantly working above your head and looking up, you're compressing your neck. So that resulted in a bit of stiffness in my neck, and I would still say that to this day. But I had COVID really badly in September 2021. I mean, I was honestly thought I was on my road out. I was in a bad way. And after I recovered from COVID, I went back to work. I was doing a stint in Sanctuary that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm pretty sure I caught it in Sanctuary the opening weekend when all the clubs went back. But, so I went back and done that weekend. And that was kind of around about October. And I was escorting a guy out. And to be honest, there wasn't any grief. And when I got to the cloakroom, he turned and took a swing at me. And I kind of snapped back and got out the road of the punch. And when I stepped forward I was going to tie him up and put him out the club, just restrain him. And my right arm basically fell at my side. And I couldn't do anything with it. But it wasn't permanent. It was like, that was really weird. So I figured maybe a pinched nerve. And then later on that night, again, some big idiot swaggering about with a bottle of vodka in the club, and I went to take the bottle off him, and as I moved to take the bottle off him, my arm didn't engage, and I thought that's not right, it's weird. So I chucked the doors that night. I said, I can't do this, I can't go back to it, because you're a liability, especially if things like that are happening. So I continued with my other job, because I had an opportunity as well around about 2021 to take over an existing business, and I did. Took the plunge, and it was going quite well. And I was putting a blind up for a guy in Hamilton, and I dropped it. It was a wooden Venetian blind, standing at the top of a ladder, and I went to put it into the bracket, and I just couldn't hold it, just dropped it. So I had a pilot fitting a blind in his own house, and I'm standing explaining him what to do. And got a master class in blind fitting. But after that, I noticed it was, again, very, very sporadic. Things were happening, it was weird. And it was just like total muscle failure and weakness. So I got referred to neurology, and around about December time, they told me that they thought I had dystonia, which it's a shitty condition, but you can live with it.
So how long did this see for when you started with your arm not engaging and stuff? How long for that time there until you went to the hospital?
Diagnosis was just under a year.
Aye, there must have been a lot of questions in that year. You must have been asking a lot of questions.
I was, but when they diagnosed me with the dystonia, I'd done a bit of research, and I figured it's a bit of shit, but I can live with that and adapt to it. And I was in the process of doing that when I noticed that things were getting worse. And again, not massively, not life changing, but worse that it was affecting my work more than anything. And I went back for a follow up, and explained to them what was happening, and they changed the diagnosis from dystonia. They told me they thought it was FND, which is functional neurological disorder.
Yeah.
Again, pretty shitty condition, and it can be quite debilitating.
Yeah.
So, done a bit of research again, and figured, right, I can adapt, I can live with that. So, started getting used to the fact I had FND, and that was when I noticed. I was walking by the mirror one day in my room, and I noticed I could actually see the joint in my shoulder. I could actually see the bone. And up until a year and a half ago, I was, I was quite broad, and always training, always active, always, busy. And certainly couldn't see the bone in my shoulders. So when I seen that, phoned my neurologist. I said, I need to see you right away. And the minute I took my jacket off, he said, there's something wrong here. And they admitted me then on the 4th of November. And on the 10th of November, gave me a working diagnosis of possible MND. And then on the 24th of November, confirmed the diagnosis of being MND, and the type MND was ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. So,
is it not being frustrating for going from one diagnosis to another diagnosis to this diagnosis, and then it just feels like you're getting. It's like one of the ones you can get in and they'll go, here's paracetamol, there you go, you're sound.
Well, I feel as if I wasted a year.
Aye.
Trying to get on with things where I could have been doing basically what I've been doing up until now since November, is constantly researching the condition, trying to come up with answers out with Western medicine, because Western medicine is very restricted in what you can do. There's so much bureaucracy and red tape, and a lack of funding as well, massive lack of funding. There's a big thing now down south where the government, sorry, I need a wee drink.
Take your time, mate.
The government have pledged 50 million to MND research, which is great, but on the grand scale of things, 50 million is a fraction of what's needed.
Of course. Sort of flinging a pound into a wishing well, innit?
Pretty much.
See, when you think about, like, 'cause I watched a video on TikTok the other day, and it was a guy, and he had dystonia, And there was people saying, "Oh, you just sound it." Is that more to do with kind of speech? It's not like
is
really a
that-
deterioration, or
Is that James Sutcliffe?
I can't even remember the name, but
It affects his voice really badly.
aye, and that's what he done a good job, and he was trying to explain it. But you're always going to see people online, they're fucking cruel
Aye,
bastards, aren't they?
trolls everywhere.
Aye.
Is that not kind of like Big Cammy? Is it asphyxia? Where he can't speak?
I mean, dystonia can affect any part of the body, not
Right,
just.
okay.
It affects that guy's speech in his hands.
Aye,
You know, his hands cramp up and become misformed,
aye.
and he finds it difficult to pick things up, lift things, and
See,
I don't know.
I think, I mean, forgive my ignorance, but there's no, I don't know enough about stuff, especially motor neuron disease and stuff like that. I don't, and it's
I'll be
mental.
honest, neither did I until I found out I had
It's
it.
how do we not know? It's like, why do we not know? Because it's not exactly, it's not as rare as I first thought it was.
It's not as rare as people make out to be. So one thing I've found out. I mean, I personally know two people who have been directly affected. One guy lost his wife back in the early 2000s, and another guy who I know them through the local pub, and he lost his mum in the 90s. And then another few people as well have friends and family members that have either got it or had it. You know, so
I think there was a big kind of charity fundraising in Greenock last year with Mark Fairbairn.
Yeah, that was sad.
He sadly lost his battle, but I mean that was good for getting the message out there, wasn't it? But you think about the bigger message, there's been famous football players and that, like really famous football players that signed up. with it as
Fernando
well,
Rickson, Jimmy Johnson.
Exactly.
See, like you're saying with ignorance, that's like the only time that I've really known about motor neurons disease. With guys like Rickson, Jimmy Johnson, obviously like Stephen Hawkins, he had it, didn't he?
Aye.
Aye.
ADLS.
So that's
Jason Becker as well, the guitar player.
aye.
He was diagnosed at 22 years old.
So it really isn't rare. Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
It's rare for young people to
So
be,
maybe
to
that's
be diagnosed with it.
in this day and age, it's not as out there as it probably should be.
Aye.
Like, it's still
crazy.
considered a rare illness, but another thing I found out during my research, and it's quite frustrating because the doctors aren't in agreement. They're actually denying it. Is the fact that it's becoming more and more common, and it seems to be in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, since the whole COVID thing, and I'm convinced
Yeah.
that, you know, me having COVID, I would say triggered the illness.
Aye, so
Maybe didn't cause it.
it's been there. It's just been.
It could have been underlying, and you know, having COVID triggered it, and I'm
Doctors
certain
are in
of that.
a deny till they die kind of situation, aren't they?
Aye.
They don't want to say this is what it is definitely, because then that's like they've put their name saying it is, and there's
think
a slight chance it no being. They're just passing the buck, aren't they?
Well, there was a study in America last year who they infected rats with COVID-19 virus, and then when the rats died, or you know, whatever the outcome was, the rats' brains were dissected, and they found that the COVID-19 virus had managed to penetrate the blood-brain barrier in the rats, and it was affecting basically the neurons within the brain in the rats. And if that's happening to rats, and it was a scientific study, and if that's happening to rats, who's to say it's not happening to humans as well?
That's
And
what
that would explain, you know, what happened with me, because I was perfectly healthy before this, you know, and always active and always busy. And like I say, this has came on in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Stuart, can you
shock
like
to
kind
the
of
system.
talk us through like the medical? Obviously, you've done your research and stuff. Like what motor neuron disease actually does to the body. Like,
So, motor neuron disease, again, there's various types of MND. You know, some of it's, you know, some causes are genetic. Mine isn't. Mine is what's called sporadic, which is the majority of people that end up being diagnosed. But there are genetic factors involved in some people as well, like faulty genes and mutant genes. There's a lot of research going on down south as well, but it's all towards the genetic, you know, markers in it and genetic reason behind it.
Aye.
But basically, it's a malfunctioning part of the brain, and because motor neurons stop being produced, and that eventually kills off the nerves.
Right.
So if you don't, your motor neurons aren't being produced or being inactive, the nerves start to die off. The nerve endings start to die off. That means that your muscles aren't being triggered. So although you're trying to move and you're trying to do certain things, it feels as if you're always fighting against yourself. At least in the beginning. Because again, the muscles just aren't being triggered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so whereas if you go to lift your arm up, your brain is basically telling your nerves to activate the muscle and lift it. And people with MND, they don't have that. You know, it stops working.
I spoke to you briefly on the phone the other night, and then when I came off the phone, I spoke to your wife and I said, look, see for somebody whose life's been turned upside down, you still sound very, very positive, and you're obviously fighting it the hardest you can. It's obviously
you need to
speaks for your character, but it was Big Drew that kind of put me in touch with yourself, and he shout out to Drew, man, the big Yeti. He kind of just explained that, I mean, you were outgoing, man, you just lived your life, and quite a positive person. I still get a very positive vibe off you, and it's admirable. But how did it affect you, mate? Obviously it affected you, but how did it?
When I was first told, I mean, I'll be honest, I was devastated. You know, and I'm not the kind of person that cries very easily, but I mean, I was shedding a tear at the time, you know, staring into space, thinking, I've actually been told this. And after a few minutes, I thought, well, that just means I've got a fight in my hands.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to the doctor, you know, it was like, well, I need to find a way to beat it then. And he said, there isn't a way to beat it. And I went, watch me.
Yeah.
You know, I said, if there's a way to beat it, I'll find it. And that was that day I started reaching out, contacting a lot of different people I've met through my life. One of them's a boy called Nigel Netzband. He's involved in a lot of ayahuasca research and alternative medicine. And so it was him that suggested, he says, listen, start looking at alternative medicines in like South America and further afield. I'm not saying there's going to be an answer, but, you know, there might be. And then we found an article from, I think it was 2003, and 2013, and it was a guy in Plymouth who had been diagnosed with ALS, cashed in his life insurance policy and took himself off to Peru, and he went to an ayahuasca retreat. Now the evidence states that the ayahuasca triggered something in the brain and stimulated some form of neurogenesis, because that guy since then has only seen improvements. You know, maybe not 100%, but his illness hasn't deteriorated. Good. And he's become more mobile and, you know, started to regain function over time. And the last article I read, his doctors have basically told him that they were wrong, they didn't have ALS. And he said, well, considering he'd been given 2 years to live max, and he'd managed to find something that helped him, he said to this day he doesn't know if the ayahuasca was the thing that reversed it or stopped it. But so when I read that, first thing I'd done was took myself off to Peru in January.
Right.
2.5 days notice. I got an email from Carlos Tanner at the Ayahuasca Foundation saying, Stuart, somebody's dropped out. If you can make it here for the Saturday. This was on the Tuesday night. I was in the pub. I was sitting having a pint and I got this email and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that, man. It's less than a week. So had a couple of pints, probably a couple more than I should have. And went back up the road, jumped on Skyscanner, seen a flight to Lima, leaving Friday the 13th, getting into Peru on Saturday the 14th, and I booked it.
Turned up at the door like a roadrunner. Boing!
This is, I mean, with a positive kind of mindset. So I think it's hard to speak for anybody and everybody, but
a lot of people only see the negative side because they listen to their doctors. Yeah. And I'm not saying I don't listen to the doctors, I do.
Doctors are depressing bastards, man, so they are.
They can
fucking
be
terrible.
A lot of them just focus on the negative side of it.
Do you not think we're brought up in a Western society where you're taught as a young age, anything your doctor says you take as gospel. Now, you could go in there and the doctor could be having a shit day where, I mean, we all go into work and we can't be asked what happens if he's having a day like that and he just palms you off, you've got that, or you've got that. Do you know what I mean? And we all believe it for gospel.
Well, if you look at my misdiagnosis, and I'm not saying the doctors were incompetent, because with MND, it's a process of elimination, basically. They need to tick things off, and then eventually they get to the bottom, and the only thing that's left is motor neuron disease. So again, it's frustrating that they did misdiagnose me, but it's very common.
Yeah.
You know, so I wouldn't, again, it's annoying, but it's not a massive issue.
Do you not think like doctors or it's not fair to say doctors, I don't know, do you not think like over here in this part of the West that we live in, could, instead of telling you this is what you've got, you can't do this, you can't do that, they say, look, there's an option you can explore, but we can't fund you, we can't do this. There's studies have shown over here, you can go and try that and see if it helps. That would maybe give people who's not got the kind of fight that you've got to maybe say, I should maybe go and actually.
You don't get any advice. And I've joined a couple of groups on Facebook and various social media channels, all about, you know, it's people with illness or family members of people with illness. And, you know, a lot of them are asking for advice. You know, they'll put a post up saying, is there anything we can do here? Because, you know, is there supplements we can take? Is there anything we can do to improve the condition until they find a cure? And there's so much negativity surrounding it. You know, it's like, no, there isn't. They tell you to join the MND SMART trial, which is about repurposing existing drugs in the hope that they might be able to slow the progression down. Not necessarily looking for a cure, from what I can gather. And slowing the progression down is great. You know, I mean, it's a result.
It's a step forward, isn't it, through where you're at? But
does cannabis like help? I don't know your.
I can't smoke it anyway, because I take a bad reaction to any kind of smoke. But I have tried oil. Yeah. And I took too much of it, didn't I? I wiped myself out for 2 days. But
everything in the house.
I couldn't move. Literally lying in my bed going, I'm on a different planet here. But I had been told how strong it was, and I just never took it. You know, so I've not took that thing yet.
Only take one of them. You're like, 10, gob. Cheers.
I took 7.
Aye, where you go? There you go.
What's the next step on your fight where you're going? So is it Mexico you're going?
My next step is stem cell treatment in Mexico. It's mesenchymal stem cell treatment.
Which you've got active fundraising for the now?
I've been fundraising for my brother started it about 5 weeks ago, and it's been pretty successful so far.
How much is this cost to go and get this treatment done?
The first treatment, it's not a one-stop shop. That's one thing they tell you. It's you're going to have to go back, but including flights, accommodation, the treatment itself is $16,868. But that's, and again, I need to try and fund that myself, and I'm not a wealthy guy. You know, I pretty much lost everything when this happened. So
because you had your own business, successful business.
It was starting to become successful, still in the early stages, but I was on the right track, and it all fell apart because of.
How can people go on to this fundraiser? Is it? We'll obviously post a link and stuff.
It's a GoFundMe. It's on GoFundMe. I think if you put in my name or ALS, you know, anything like that, it'll come up, and it's my ugly mug wearing a red beanie. You know, see, you can't really miss a picture.
What's your brother's name? Is it Alistair?
My wee brother Alistair.
Alistair, I know, because
he's my youngest brother.
I was having a wee look on the thing. Obviously, you've got the support of the full family and all that.
I mean, the response was amazing. I mean, people that I've not seen in 20 years, 25 years, were donating £100, 200, 300, 400 quid, you know, and I couldn't believe it. And it says a lot of people in the Thai boxing community came forward. Chrissy Shaw, you know, legend there guy, he's an active one championship fighter, and he donated £300 the first day.
Amazing.
I couldn't believe it.
No, that is amazing. There is amazing people, and people genuinely do care. We've said this many a times, but it's just crazy how, I mean, that nobody knows the outcome of this. This could be a positive outcome. It's just crazy how it can't be funded by.
We're talking
Well,
about.
the Western medicine, the doctors don't recognise it. My neurologist told me not to waste my time.
Yeah.
Don't go.
See, that's mental.
Don't spend the money. That's what he said.
Yeah.
But
Instead of saying, go and try this and see if this works, it might work.
well, then he contradicted himself slightly by saying, it's not been trialled by the NHS. We haven't, done anything to approve this. If it was available in the NHS, I would say do it. And I went, but because it's not, you're telling me not to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, that
that's
doesn't
a
really
bit-
make sense.
aye.
Because essentially, stem cell treatment is, a lot of people don't know a lot about it, but it's regenerative medicine. And they're taking umbilical stem cells. So again, the unethical side of it isn't even part of it anymore, because they don't use aborted fetuses the way they did, 10, 20 years ago. It's the stem cells they're using come from the Wharton's jelly. It's basically the tissue inside the umbilical cord. And they're at that stage, from a newborn, that's the most powerful stem cells available. If you take stem cells from I'm 48, so if they were to take stem cells from my bone marrow and then culture those cells and try and use them, those stem cells aren't going to be as effective as a newborn's stem cells, from the Wharton's jelly. So that's why it's got to be recyclable stem cells from that source, because they also repurpose themselves and start to repair damaged cells and tissue, basically as soon as they find it. And that's what's all the information I've read regarding stem cells. There's very little negative, and very little negativity surrounding it.
Yeah.
There are some, but you get bad reports for everything.
Aye.
Is that getting to do with is it the Nolan Foundation, that kind of stuff, or is that a whole different kind of
I
stuff?
don't know.
Aye.
I've never heard of
Because no, so I think that's
Nolan,
maybe for.
is that not the sisters or something, the singers? Did one of them know?
Who's in owns?
one of the
That was
ones had
years
cancer,
ago, wasn't it?
maybe two of them.
Was it
But
cancer?
no, because that's like a stem cell type of thing, and
Well, they use stem cell treatment in this country for certain types of cancer.
that I think it's maybe blood cancer. I think it maybe is.
Blood cancer is one of them.
Aye.
That's where you get the Nolans.
Aye.
Who's in owns?
They were
that the one
sisters.
that was
They were
on the
sisters
woman?
for.
Aye.
that her?
Aye, in fact,
Aye,
aye,
one
it is.
of those
I know
There
it
was
is.
one. There
Like
was
that.
there was three of them.
Fucking annoying, man.
What,
three
who
of them.
Colleen? She's a big cougar.
What?
A big cougar.
Just swipe right on Tinder to her, did you?
Older the berry, sweeter the juice.
Oh, Jordan, man, never change, mate, never change. with regards to this treatment in Mexico, have you been in contact with people and stuff like that out there?
Yeah. So I contacted a clinic I've contacted a couple. One of them was Swiss Medica in Serbia, but they were wanting £28,000. And to be honest, I didn't, with the type of stem cells they were using and the research that I've done so far, I didn't see it as being really effective. I might be wrong. I'm not a scientist, but with the
Oh, I heard there Serbia is freezing. Peru, isn't he?
Serbia,
I've got to Peru
Mexico.
every day of the week. Man, that's a
Serbia's
nice
not
little country.
freezing.
He is.
You think that's Siberia?
The place to be. The same place, isn't it?
Serbia's
The
Belgrade?
same
no,
bit.
Serbia's
Serbia's-
a Balkan state, isn't it?
It's
They're just
Croatia.
about, they're just, yeah, they're just about to go to war with Kosovo.
It's hot in the summer.
You
Aye,
just
winter
started.
freezing.
They've been. You're going to. He just said they're about to go to war with Kosovo.
No, they're
We
singing.
just had a chat with Craig Harrison last week about Serbia, Kosovo, and all that.
Oh shit.
I think it's been on for a while, mate.
Aye, no, aye, but that's it.
I don't think it's just kicked off, mate.
Wait, let me hide my daddies. It's ramping up again.
Where were we, man, for your stupidity crap in there?
Aye, so with the clinic in Mexico, they've got a treatment protocol for ALS. They've treated quite a lot of people for the condition. What they say is it's not a cure. They can't cure it, but what they're hoping is, and they've seen evidence of it in the past, they've managed to slow the progression down. In some cases, actually stop the progression of the illness. If you stop the illness progressing, then you just need to live,
Aye.
with the
As is.
limitations you've got.
But I think this kind of speaks volumes for your character, because you're going to get an answer, whether it's the right answer or the wrong answer. You're still chasing an answer.
Worst case scenario, then it doesn't work.
Aye, and then and
It's not going to affect me negatively.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me ill or anything. And if anything, the stem cells, if it doesn't stop the progression of ALS, it's going to regenerate other problems that I might have underlying. So I'm going to win either way.
Yeah, no.
It's one of the ones.
Touch on this ayahuasca, because everybody we've had on this show, I think, except for Craig, I think that's right, isn't it?
Paul Bogie.
And Bogie. Everybody.
Ayahuasca.
I'm wanting to explore this. I really am.
Ayahuasca is the most intense experience I've ever had in my life.
Obviously you were out there for answers for your diagnosis, but did it take you places you thought you'd never go in your past?
No, it didn't. Because the way the facilitators were explaining it, and Carlos as well, the guy who runs it, is because it's a serious physical illness. Everybody else was there for some kind of soul searching exercise, but I was the only person there with a serious illness. And the way Carlos explained it is the ayahuasca, when you ingest it, collides with the illness and tries to force the illness out. And after having experienced that, I totally believe it, because I was purging heavily, uncontrollably.
Was that just like being sick and stuff, like screaming?
But it's not just being sick, it's literally pouring out of you.
Serious?
Aye.
It scares me, but at the same time, I'm very intrigued by it. I've not heard bad stuff. I've heard people going places they don't want to go, but
it can transport you. People with mental health issues, it basically takes them to a place where they need to face what's happened in their past, but it also helps you come to terms with what's happened in the past and find the answers to keep moving forward.
You're the first person that I've known that's done ayahuasca with a physical illness, and ayahuasca, as you're saying, is attacking it. In my head, I know it's broken biscuits up there. I always had remember Ace Ventura with Pet Detective? Remember when nature calls, he does that thing and he transports into the cave and greetings. I always think ayahuasca, I'm going into that cave with all the guano. That's what I think I'm going to go.
You're not a million miles away.
That's what I think anyway.
What was it like, kind of, obviously, and a different kind of dimension, whatever, but can you remember any visual kind of? Aye.
So you're in the Maloka, which is it's like a big ceremony room with a massive vaulted ceiling. Which when you're lying back, you're just staring into a black space. And when the ayahuasca started to come on, I just remember the room lighting up. It was like the aurora borealis, but in a geometric form. It was, my exact words were, "This is the most surreal thing I've ever fucking experienced in my life." And I said that out loud. Sorry?
Was there people in the room with you?
Aye, there was
shamans and stuff.
Well, you've got your Corandero, your shaman. He's controlling the ceremony. There was his assistant, Pancho. There was another guy, Sergio. He's like another assistant. And then we were quite lucky. We had 4 facilitators on site, and they were all great. Really well educated as well in ayahuasca. And they're there to help you get through it. Because like I say, a lot of people, they have a bad experience or trouble getting through the trip. But having heard before I went about it transporting your subconscious out of your physical being to another dimension where you meet entities and spirits, and you start to explore various things that you would never even think about.
How did these 4 guys help you? How did they?
Well, they drink ayahuasca as well, so they can connect to everybody in the room.
Trip?
Aye, they can connect and basically kind of feel what you're going through. And it's crazy,
man.
Aye, because it's not in the day with ayahuasca at all, but I've been in house parties years ago and hit a badging. I would be the only person that's ever hit a badging on ayahuasca.
Only person to wear that shirt and all.
There's been a lot of people having a bad experience on it. But I mean, like I said, I was having a hard time, especially the first time. And Carlos Tanner, the guy who runs it, he was there the first night. and he came over, and he was basically, trying to guide me through. And I always remember I was talking to him about it the next day, and I was presented with 5 entities, spirits, human-like, but the only way I can describe it as human form, but very plant-like. It's almost as if plants are the ruling species in this dimension. And a lot of people experience something very, very similar. That's why it's so convincing as well.
It's like the trees for Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
See, I said this on a previous one. Apparently there's been a study there. They're doing like a kind of study where they're drip feeding it into people, and what they're trying to do is map out that dimension, because as you say, people are seeing the same entities and stuff. Do you believe that? Aye?
People are describing similar experiences.
Aye.
It's not like people taking like acid and mushrooms where everybody goes on a trip and everything's different. Everything's so similar. And
see your experience with that. Can you remember it like it was yesterday? Was it
I can remember some of it.
One of the core memories that stuck there and you're stuck with it?
Well, the one memory for the first ceremony was the 5 entities that basically presenting themselves, and they were telling me to go with them, come with us, and you don't need to go through this. We can stop you going through this. And I took that as being, come with us and you're not going back, basically. And I always remember I used to play drums, and I grabbed my bucket. I was actually playing drum lines on my bucket, and Carlos said that was me trying to ground myself in this reality. And when I told him what was happening, he went and he said, I've heard that quite a lot. He said people get the impression that if they go, they're never coming back.
Scary, innit? You know,
it scared the fucking life out of me.
Do you know, this is kind of like, see, like you look at ancient cultures, like the Mayans and things like that.
People for Paul,
people for Paul, aye. When you look at that, they all believed in like higher spirits, like the sun gods and all that. But
that's right.
See the Mera Hiras Ayahuasca, I think they had it right.
100%.
And they were what were they, barbarians, because they were uncultured, really, because they weren't of the Western thing.
Well, they
had the right idea.
They were a lot more advanced in a lot of ways than Western civilization. Just that Western civilization didn't want to be part of that. They wanted to enforce their culture on the Mayans and the Incas.
Even
the Incas in Peru.
See, you look at the Mayan, what's that temple called again? The big thing where they used to sacrifice people. Machu Picchu.
That was Incan.
Oh, was it?
Aye. You think the Aztec temples, didn't you?
No, apparently, let's see how the biggest like kind of like pyramid thing. Let's see what do you call it? It's built. They're all built in a certain way, so like the guy can stand at the top of him, and 250,000 people can hear him. So it's. I thought I knew what I was talking about, but it didn't come out.
The Curanderos as well. They're basically doctors for their communities, and all their medicines are plant based. But generally, people in the community don't drink ayahuasca. They go to the shaman or the curandero, and he drinks ayahuasca, and he uses ayahuasca as a diagnostic tool to feel what they're feeling and diagnose their problem.
See, if you're saying you're going to a place when you're doing ayahuasca, he's taking you to a place and you're seeing all this stuff, I can understand that. So he takes that, you're sitting in front of him, they could go up, this is yours, this is the path you're on now. That's scary, man. Because I do think...
It's scary, but it's amazing.
That's what I mean.
It really is.
I'm totally mesmerised with how we used to live to how we live now. Never used to bother with it, but see now, it's like, you watch see these videos or these... I watched something the other day about the Egyptians, and I'm just like, a proper back in the pyramids, I'm like...
They were quite
living so wrong now, man,
as well.
The one that I've see any kind of, like, any illness that any human can get, it's like, the Mother Nature provides the cure. It's just finding the cure. It's like getting stung by the stinging nettles, and then there's a dog leaf to...
You probably think I'm mental, so a couple of months ago I get contacted on Facebook by calls himself a doctor, a herbalist in Africa, and this guy swears that this medicine that he puts together will help people with ALS. Now I'm still sceptical, but I've been taking it for the last 35 days you take it for, and I've got another 6 days left. And so I've been taking it for like 29 days, and it's disgusting. smells and tastes like bloody horse piss. Honestly. It smells like horse pee.
Budweiser.
See, at the end of these 6 days, at the end of these 6 days, is that guy trying to give you £15 million for the prince in Nigeria?
Well, this is the thing. I did need to buy it, and I was very, very sceptical. But then I thought, you know what? See, even if it helps, I mean, I don't believe for a minute it's going to cure me. You know, this guy's going on about a cure and all that, but it's not a cure. But if it helps to stimulate something that's going to help me in some way, even if it starts to stimulate like areas of my nervous system.
Do you think like placebo effects can help as well? There's been research saying that placebo effects it just twigs something in the brain and it makes your body think it's getting better, so it does get better.
Well, that's why they use placebos as part of the clinical trials,
right?
Because they say that some people, you know, they're thinking that in a positive way, and it helps them when they say reverse the condition, but helps them improve because they're convinced they're taking some magical pill, you know, when it's actually a sugar tablet they're getting.
Aye.
But it does terrify me. I think if you put me in front of if somebody says there's a witch doctor and I was about to go and sit down, I wouldn't do it because I think it would probably I'd be fearing in case he said something. There's this is wrong with you or that's wrong with you because I honestly think I don't know if I believe in spirits and that, right? Can't believe I'm going down this road, man. But I don't know if I believe in that stuff, but I believe in you see these witch doctors that give me the heebie-jeebies, man.
I was very sceptical about it all until I went, and now I'm 100%. You know,
how could that have worked for all the hundreds of years and then somebody just went like one day, we've got computers now, we're not interested in what you're doing?
Well, see, when you look at that, look at how long it worked for them, and then we've only really got to this stage in the past 2.5 years, and the whole world's went
Western
to
medicine.
shit.
Sure, do you know
the world's went to shit.
Do you know there's I can never say ayahuasca. How do you say ayahuasca? Do you know there's sessions over in Dunnan?
I think you just grasping them.
It's BCAP. It's not.
No, is it not the same?
It's ayahuasca vine.
Right.
But
Okay.
The psychedelic, the hallucinogenic part comes from a plant called chacruna,
Right. Okay.
and that contains a massive percentage of DMT,
Right, okay.
and that's what transports you to another dimension.
Does that? Can you grow that in this country, or do you need like
No, it comes from Peru.
Is it only
the
Peru?
Amazon basin?
Right, aye.
The Amazon basin. So those countries basically that run off the Amazon.
Right.
The BCAP vine's the medicinal part of it. That's the ayahuasca vine, and then the other part, the psychoactive part's a different plant called chacruna, and it's
Is that the one that takes you to the?
that contains DMT.
Right.
That's the one
The
that puts all the
DMT is
tricks to
actually
the
produced
entities
in the brain.
Yeah.
You say at the point of death, your brain releases DMT.
Aye.
Is that
That's
the
why a lot
flash?
of people they think of like near-death experiences and visualizations, when then they get brought back, but they think it's DMT that's doing that.
I said it on the last podcast and I get roasted for it. Like there's people who's achieved that state for just like breathing techniques and stuff, like produce their own DMT, and they get transported to that next thing. And
I've read about it.
Aye.
I don't know too much about it, to be honest.
There's an expert even telling you it's a lot of
Aye.
shit.
Now, if it's breathing technique, I'm out of breath sitting in this
Far
chair.
from an expert.
Look at his shorts. They're denim shorts and they've got rips in them. They are definitely Lassie shorts.
Bizarre.
I was just looking at them there, mate.
I have actually just bought my daughter that very same pair of shorts.
If you look at the jeans with my bulge.
I'm looking at his
Trying
shorts.
to get a
I
bit
can't
of
speak for him.
So if you get out of Mexico to get this treatment, what's the kind of like time frame on it? How long do you need to spend out there?
What's 5 or 6 days. First day's consultation, IV nutrition, and something else as well. I've got the treatment protocol in the house. IV nutrition and something else, and then the second day is when you get your stem cell transplant. So it's intravenous and intrathecal. So basically into your veins and into your spinal cord. So I'm looking forward to that.
So was it a painful? I mean, is it a painful process? Will you feel it?
That's got to be surgical right now.
The intrathecal ones is going to be like a reverse lumbar puncture, really. Instead of taking the fluid out, they're putting stuff in.
Right.
And then day 3 is a rest day. Day 4 again is IV nutrition, another consultation with the doctors, and then some form of oxygen therapy. And then on the 5th day is the second stem cell transplant. So you get 2 stem cell transplants. Good. Again, intravenous and intrathecal. And they also give you an infusion of exosomes, which is like it's like a homing beacon for stem cells.
Right.
So it helps the stem cells find like the damaged areas where they need to get to repair it.
I just find it quite hard to accept that this is really only available to people with money.
Pretty much.
Living over here, do you know what I mean?
GeoStar, the clinic I'm going to, they're trying to make it more affordable. I mean, it's not cheap. But it says I think the conversion rate is working at about £13,500. But luckily, I mean, between the fundraiser and various friends that are helping me, you know, they're basically helping me cover the cost of it.
Good.
I'm covering the cost of the flights and the hotel.
So it's all booked, set, good to go?
Booked to go on the 25th of June.
Good.
And I'm
Good,
back
so
the 9th of July. So that'll be the first course. I reckon there's probably going to be at least 3 or 4.
Is that another 3 or 4 trips out there?
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
Do you think
it's
about
as many as you need in it, as many as it takes?
It's all about slowing down and stopping the progression, and then once I haven't, hopefully haven't seen any deterioration after a certain length of time, then it's all about trying to regenerate some of what you've lost.
Aye.
You know, so whether you're, like I said, I don't think I'm ever going to be back to normal again, if I ever was fucking normal in the first place. But I'm not going to, like, a couple of years ago, anybody that knows me, man, I had a fucking neck like a bull, you know, and big shoulders. I wasn't a bodybuilder or anything, you know, I wasn't big, but I was kind of stocky and solid.
Aye.
And well, no, I'm not.
I said that to Sean the I said you look like a figure of a man, you know what I mean? Like that. See what I was just thinking about. Do you remember years ago, obviously you're saying about ALS, we were doing the Ice Bucket Challenge.
It was all about ALS awareness.
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any good that ever came of that campaign, you know?
They raised a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They raised millions. Mm-hmm. And they also, obviously they got the word out. But a lot of people that were taking part in the Ice Bucket Challenge didn't know why they were doing it.
Well, I couldn't have told you that, aye. I could never have told you that was what it was for.
Could you not?
They're all basically jumping out the back, 10 people are flinging ice water at each other, you know.
And you get to be a lassie that done it. Ice Bucket Challenge. They put it out, fucking hell.
that was funny.
I remember I'd done it with a tutu and fairy wings on, and probably I was ignorant at the time as well. I knew ALS was an illness, but I didn't know exactly what it was.
I only really understood it because I'm a metalhead. You probably see the t-shirt. But one of my favourite bands was Cacophony. Mm-hmm. Back when I was a drummer, you know, playing with 2 bass drums and all the being stupidly technical basically. Mm-hmm. And one of my favourite drummers was Dean Castronovo, who was playing in Cacophony at the time. And it was Marty Friedman, Jason Becker, and that was their band. You know, they're kind of guitar heroes. And Jason Becker ended up joining David Lee Roth's band in 1991, I think. And by 1992, he was diagnosed with ALS when he was recording A Little Ain't Enough.
So it does.
He's still alive.
Well,
has he done this stuff that you're going to do?
No, I don't think so. I tried to reach out and contact his family because they do a lot of. They've got a bit of an online presence.
Aye.
And they get like Friends of Jason Becker group. And I did try and contact them to ask if they'd ever, you know, send him for stem cell treatment, but never got a reply.
Is there any information on what he done for himself?
Well, I think his deterioration was, you know, fairly quick. Like it wasn't a long time, maybe 4 or 5 years max. You know, and he's sitting in a wheelchair, you know, and can't talk, can't do anything really for himself other than move his eyes. The guy still composes music.
Does he?
Using a system with his eyes.
Aye.
He released an album called Triumphant Hearts in 2018. And it's actually really good.
Aye.
This is where you go into a character of somebody. I don't think if somebody's a natural born fighter, where it's combat sport or they're just right out there with life, I don't think you can stop them. Genuinely don't.
Listen, I mean, that guy was he'd made it. He was a rock star, touring the world, recording albums, and then it was all taken away from him, you know. But again, he's not let it stop him. You know, he's still very, very intelligent, you know, and very active in the music world. quite amazing.
What's it like, see, obviously, when you go to bed at night and you're lying like, basically stationary for however many hours, what's it like in the morning getting up?
I can still move.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still fairly mobile, so all my limitations are basically in my upper body.
Yeah.
You know, I can't lift my arms up properly. See, normal things, you know, like brushing your hair, washing your hair, it takes me about half an hour to 45 minutes to have a shower. You know, because I can't like reach up and wash my armpits properly, you know, and I can't wash my hair properly, so
See stuff people will never even think about into it.
it's everything you take for granted, you know, feeding yourself.
Yeah.
I can't cook and prepare food. Washing dishes is a major task, which
It's not a bad thing, is it?
I that's not the first time I broke all sorts of dishes, you know, and just dropped them. And like even having a pint, lifting a pint in the pub, you know, in my local, and when I'm in town, I go into box, and it's quite funny actually. One of the lassies that works in box, I'll not name her, she gave me a row because she put a pint of cider on the bar for a pal of mine, and I lifted it. And the minute I lifted it, I dropped it. She's like, I told you not to lift it, and I was like, sorry about that.
Do you find that hard, Stuart, going, like if you're in a town, obviously you're on the doors, do you find it hard going into a boozer that maybe you don't have doors on? And
I don't go anywhere. Well, I go to Sanctuary very occasionally, but I've not been in for, I don't know, probably over a year. And I tend to go to gigs though. I go to gigs and then maybe go to a bar. The last club I was in was a cat house. But again, I dropped a pint of cider, you know, and spilled it everywhere, and I went, I'm going up the road.
Maybe you want to say
I don't know if
that'd be good.
No, I don't know if I'd. No, I'm not saying that.
What?
No, I can't say it.
You need to say it.
No,
now.
I can't.
Okay, you know.
No, it's a
not even
badging.
that shirt on.
No, it's a badging.
See, obviously, when you were working on the doors and you were quite a big guy. See, when you're going back
I was a wee guy.
Were you a wee guy?
I was a wee guy. I'm only 5'8".
Guy. Where was I? Aye. See, when you go back to like, all these gigs and you bump into people that knew you back then and they see you now, do you feel like you need to kind of explain what's happened, or do they just go along with it, or do you feel like you're telling the same story over and over again? Kind of like when somebody breaks their ankle and you need to tell it over and over to everybody that meets you with a cast on.
I don't mind though.
Aye.
You know, at the end of the day, the people that knew me years ago, they right away. I mean, I was on Spain at the weekend and I met up with a lot of boys I've not seen, you know, in quite a long time.
Aye.
And I know I don't doubt for a minute. Well, I seen the look in their face when they saw me. You know, it's like fucking hell.
Aye.
But again, I'm still the same person. You know, I just can't do all the same stuff.
Aye.
See, I was going to ask that question as well. Let's see, when people see, like, people who's got a kind of visible illness, a lot of people kind of look with maybe like pity. That's a wrong attitude, isn't it? As you say,
I say that to people all the time, and they say, "I'm really sorry, you know, to hear what you've said, but you know, everything that's happening to you," and I say, "What you're sorry for?" You know, I'm not sorry. You just get on with it.
Exactly.
Aye.
You know, I don't want pity. I don't want people feeling sorry for me. If anything, you know, just try and understand.
Aye.
You know? Because as well, I mean, for people that don't know me, it's probably not immediately visible that there's something wrong. It's not until I start trying to do certain things that folk are like, no, it's sitting in a restaurant eating my dinner. It's a mission, you know. I mean, it's really hard. I need to lift my arm and support it with my other hand in order to get a fork into my mouth, you know. And but it's just about adapting.
Yeah.
But I do notice from time to time, you know, people, and they can't help but stare. You know, they sit there kind of looking as if they say, "No, what's wrong with that guy?"
Aye.
That's usually when I manage to spill it on myself.
That was your fault, go by that pint.
You're saying these things as well, and you're just still kind of smiling away in that, and it's humbling more than anything, the fact that when your life is turned upside down, people are still just like, "No, I'll take this as a fight and I'll charge on and go with it."
That's what you need to do. I mean, I know I've got a friend that I met in hospital, and he's got an aggressive form ALS. You know, it's coming on quite quickly, and he's fighting as hard as he can.
Mm.
You know what I mean? He can't speak anymore. You know, he's dealing with it amazingly well. You know, and
So see,
probably fighting on for his, you know, for
Aye,
his
of course.
kids.
see, you've got obviously you've got this thing in Peru. You're looking forward to getting that done. See,
Mexico.
like, Mexico.
I don't know if I'm going to go back to
to.
Peru at some point, but you never know.
See on like your day-to-day life. Like obviously, as Sean said there, you were very active. You've done like Muay Thai fighting, snowboarding. You've done all that extreme sports.
My mountain bike, my snowboards and my mountain bike are in the cupboard.
Yeah.
Aye. What kind of stuff do you do now to get yourself? Is there
To be
anything that
honest,
you can kinda-
I'm not going to lie, it's hard to motivate yourself.
Aye.
Even you could be the most positive person in the world, but when you wake up in the morning, you think to yourself, you know, fuck all day. Everybody's working, everybody's busy. You know, I'll go for a walk. So you go for a walk, you maybe go for breakfast or lunch, but you're hanging about with yourself.
Aye, I know.
And don't get me wrong, I like my own company, but
Aye.
you know, it gets to a point where I mean, I'm on my own, you know, 95% of the time. And I live by myself as well. It's another reason why I'm trying to adapt so much and, you know, fight against it. Is because I don't have a choice. You know, at the end of the day, I still need to be able to go up and walk about the house and, you know, even just get myself a beer out the fridge or something.
But you have got a good support network, haven't you? You've got your family and your pals and that.
My wee brother, my youngest brother's been amazing. A lot of my pals actually stepped up to the plate really quickly, especially when I was in hospital. You know, and they've all got families and, you know, marriage. You know, and they've got busy lives. You know, a lot of them own their own companies, but nah, they were right there.
See when the pals are like that, but they become your family.
Aye,
That's like your family there, isn't it?
my pals are an extended family.
Aye.
And we were talking about that. We were in Spain, you know. I said, mate, you know, we're not just pals, we're all family.
Aye.
They're all good boys, you know.
You mean that until they come into your house and start taking beer out your fridge? You know, yeah, just beer.
Nobody taking
jobs. Come on now.
Yeah, see, because I'm such a good pal, I'm going to give you a wee bit of advice. You were talking about mountain biking that for Sean. I'm going to tell him he needs to put a saddle on it.
It's wondering what was going wrong with that lad. Slats are comfortable.
It's not farted in about 10 years, man.
I was going to say something there, I can't remember what it was now.
I'm determined to be able to ride my bike again next year.
Aye, good.
That's
Good.
That's my goal.
Is that like the main goal? Is there wee goals leading up to that? Or is that like the main one?
No, not really. Just I want to be able to get back on my bike. The fear is, and I probably could ride it, but I don't have any strength in my upper body. So if I do come off my bike, it's high probable I'm going to break my neck, because my neck's probably the weakest part of my body at the
That's
moment.
where the stiffness, like you were saying earlier, wasn't it? Putting up doing the blinds.
No, the
Is that
muscles
where it
are
started, wasn't it?
Just muscle deterioration.
Is it just
Aye, muscle deterioration in my neck.
Aye.
So my head's basically being held up by the tendons and muscles on the side. They're doing all the work. That's why I get a bit like twitchy and shaky sometimes.
Right, aye.
See, obviously, like if there's some no mobility issues, but if the likes you're saying that sometimes you maybe struggle to eat, to wash your head. I already know the answer to this, and obviously I know you're a proud man. But has any like health specialists ever suggested like home helps? I know you wouldn't take it. I know you're too proud, but
It's been suggested,
Yeah.
aye. But at the moment, like I said, I'm managing to go out. I bought prep meals for a wee while, but
Yeah.
it's getting to a point where some of them weren't nice, you know, and half of them were going in the bin. So, generally, I in the house I'll have cereal or something dead simple. And other than that, I live right basically in the main street. So I'm surrounded by cafes, restaurants, and I know everybody.
yeah.
Is it Kirky you live in?
Aye.
Aye.
I generally know everybody that owns restaurants, bars, you know, so I can go everywhere. You know,
Wonder if you'll
they'll
know
help me out.
Tex. Do you know Blair Walker?
Who?
Who's your sponsor?
It's just-
Blair Walker?
Just name Blair.
I know, man, it's funny, isn't it?
It's just text.
Doesn't
text,
look like a Blair, doesn't he? No,
No.
No, I don't think so.
no, he's just obviously. You know, Drew, did you get in the bike snap with Drew? You a biker, no?
No,
They're a mad bunch, aren't they, man?
I had a deal with my mum a long time ago. I lost my mum 10.5 years ago now, but I always said to her, I promised her I wouldn't get a bike for the road. You know, because bad enough with motors and jet skis and all that. And with a couple of close ones in jet skis, and she's like, don't want you on a motorbike.
Aye, fair one. I just done that thing, didn't I? Or I'm from Glasgow, do you know such and such? It's a bit brutal, but I just thought he might have been a well-known guy.
To be fair, I know a phenomenal amount of people, especially through working in clubs and, you know, just the way I've lived my life.
Aye.
You know, I'm always, you know, consider myself quite a friendly guy, I know, and I'm always talking to folk, and everywhere I go to gigs and all that, I always end up making pals.
Aye.
What was it like out in Thailand training proper Thai boxing? Did you spend a lot of time out there?
To be honest, the training isn't that different.
That's
Some
the
of
ones
the
that do the shin things in it. They rub it. That gives me the bulk, that man.
it's actually not. See, the wood they use, it's quite soft.
Is it?
I just deaden the nerves.
You
but
can't even eat
don't really
spicy
do that.
fucking space
Oh,
raiders.
why
never
is it
mind.
spicy?
Oh, I had
Goddamn,
I had a spicy big tasting up at night. It was spicy. I was panting.
No, Thailand's good. It's the heat that gets you.
Aye,
When you're training there, because you're training in 35, 40 degree heat.
You know, all the gyms, did you know that in the jungle as well? You know,
No.
Humidity.
In
'cause it
Phuket,
was,
they're on Soi Thai, which is it's called Fitness Street.
I seen that Idris Elba went there and done that. It
Sorry?
was that Idris Elba.
Aye.
He went
right.
there. He done
man.
something.
Aye, he was training in Bangkok, I'm sure.
Was it?
Aye.
He ended up, when I watched it, he was like in the jungle, and he said it was the heat. And then
Aye,
when
it's
what
the
was it
heat
they
and
called
the
it? The
humidity.
shin, the Rakishin, is that right?
The what?
The Rakishin, is that am I using the right
don't know.
terminology?
I know what you're talking about. It looks horrendous.
Oh, it's like you get a ruler and they just whoosh, right down each shin.
Aye.
Oh,
They don't really do that.
did you know?
No, it's all your training, chin condition and stuff's done on heavy bags
Is it?
and pads. Aye.
You watch too much kickboxing, man.
Oh, have I?
Yeah, my wee cousin's just literally this week back from Thailand, and he went into one of the camps, and
Right.
I've said to him he needs to get a refund because I still punch his cunt.
You're on a fight in your lifetime, you know. That'll be your first.
Your ass. Darren Brown, I'm coming for you.
Who?
Darren Brown. Don's wee bro.
He's coming for me.
No, he's coming for no.
Oh, for you?
I'm coming on him.
Oh, oh for
Yeah,
fuck's
you must
sake.
be with that shop. Fucking hell.
So you're well travelled.
I've done a lot.
You've
I think I've never settled down though. I've never settled down for like a long term girlfriend. I've no kids.
do you,
No, I've no that I know about anyway. So.
Yeah, that's something I regret because I'm 31, right, and I've led a life of just I don't know a stone. Kind of not a party life, but you know, no settling down, Mendy. And I'm starting to get that age where all my pals are all married, and well, I've got a kid as well, wee JJ. But can I regret it a wee bit? See when they're all you.
you're only 31?
Aye, but you seen my mate, the boat's about to sail away, man. My hairline's going.
I'm sure somebody will still like you with your baldy. Jordan, you're 31, mate.
I know.
So you're alright.
I've been keeping count, mate. I know.
You need to resign to the fact that you've got to be stepdaddy.
I know. Here, by the way, my son watches a couple of these, and aye.
Right,
I was going to say, mate.
Some of the stories I tell on here are absolutely horrendous. But
Aye, they're all true as well. That's the worst thing about
we
it.
shout out to JJ. Love you, son.
Do you think that because you've lived a kind of active lifestyle, a kind of merit their lifestyle, you can accept what's going on now because you're actively going and trying to figure out ways to get. You're not listening to what the doctor's saying. You're going and charging on, and you're trying to fix this.
It's maybe given me I've always been a bit like that though. My whole life I've kind of thought outside the box and never, you know, if my teachers were telling me something that I didn't agree with, you know, I'd just tell them straight, sorry, you're wrong, and I'd prove them wrong.
You know, I'm all for you. Yeah, I hope it's the right thing and it all works. But
Well, my long term goal as well with this is, I mean, I'm using myself as a guinea pig. Basically, that's the best way to explain it. And but everything I do, if it's having a positive impact on the illness, or I feel that it's having a positive impact, I'm going to share all that information.
Good.
You know, so all the supplements I'm taking now with, you know, like lion's mane, niacin, psilocybin. I never took it today because I had to drive, but you usually end up a wee bit high. But that's all about stimulating nerve growth factor in the brain. So again, it's like a form of neurogenesis. The things like magnesium chloride, coconut oil, sea moss, It's all got a purpose.
Yeah.
And when I start to see a benefit, or I'm convinced that I'm seeing a benefit that maybe isn't quite visible, then I'll start to share it, through TikTok, and I'm going to set up a YouTube channel. And the same with the stem cell treatment as well. If the stem cell treatment does work, then I'll be sharing it, worldwide. And when I come back, I'm going to continue with the fundraising, but my long-term goal is to set up a charity.
Good.
Amazing.
But not the other MND charities, which are, they're funding elements of research, but they're also doing a lot to do with palliative care and preparing people for the worst, the final stages and things like that, which is great. It's amazing. The work they do is amazing. Charities like MND Scotland. But what I'm looking to do is it's like an ALS alternative, which is when I find treatments that help and work, I want to be able to raise the funds to give other people the opportunity to go and try it.
Amazing.
That's amazing, mate. It really is.
Because like myself, if it wasn't for people helping me, I wouldn't be able to afford it. So, and I'm quite fortunate that, I've got people helping me.
Yeah.
The good thing is, like you said earlier, a phenomenal amount of people.
Aye.
So you'll be able to spread that word far and wide.
Oh, trying to get them to share the fucking fundraisers hard work, man.
Oh,
They all like it and donate and then don't share it.
I
and
know,
I'm
I know.
It's like, mate, you need to share it.
Exactly.
Get it out there.
It's free to do that bit. It's free to click a button.
I think all you need to hit is the right kind of slipstream of people as well, and it gets taken and it just it takes care of itself. But
Rose arms and
when you're
legs,
saying
right?
about the setting up a charity and helping other people, it gives you a purpose as well to focus on, so you're not sitting stagnating and whatever else.
Exactly. It keeps you active and keeps your mind active. And like I said, I'm not really spoken to a lot of people with the illness. But one guy contacted me through TikTok when he seen my videos for Peru. And he's a guy from California and saying, he'd recently diagnosed with ALS. And he said, I really don't know what to do. So I messaged him back and I says, well, when were you diagnosed? What stage are you at? How are you still mobile? And basically, what are your doctors telling you? And he didn't get back to me. Because I was going to say to him, listen, you're living in America, you're in a position where you can probably get to Mexico fairly easily as long as you're still mobile. And obviously, everybody's got a different, financial position as well. But again, if he's, kind of financially stable or well off, then I would have said, get yourself a stem cell clinic, go and speak to GeoStar, or, there's a clinic in Medellin in Colombia as well. They're similar. Clinics in India, there's clinics in Thailand. There's
nothing here.
Well,
there isn't.
Mad, isn't it?
We'll see. We're talking at the start about
It's kind of frowned upon, to be honest.
See, we're talking about the misdiagnosis at the start, before you got diagnosed with it. Can you imagine having this illness in America and not having like healthcare or anything like that? Imagine being diagnosed and then you're running up bills and you end up bankrupt because you've been diagnosed with it.
Happens all the time.
And it's shocking,
in America.
isn't it? Absolutely shocking.
Happens all the time. My wasn't ALS, but my cousin had cancer when he was young, and my uncle Mike, practically bankrupted himself and had to sell his haulage business and sold his trucks and that to pay for Stephen's healthcare.
What I think it gets me is like we're living in one of the richest countries in the world, and when you think of Thailand, India, Mexico, Peru, and all that, they're no far off third world countries, and we're having to go to third world countries to get medical help.
All these companies as well are owned by American doctors and scientists or European doctors and scientists, but they're not allowed to practice that kind of medicine because of the amount of red tape in Western countries.
Yeah.
The government don't. It's like ayahuasca's considered a Class A drug.
You know why all that?
I was going to bring some back until I found it.
It's not even red tape. It's
Aye,
pound signs, man.
It's bureaucracy.
Aye.
There's no money in stem cell treatment, although the treatment itself's expensive, but it doesn't, like big pharma can't make money off it because it doesn't they don't need developed drugs. It's a naturally natural produced product. It's just a byproduct of childbirth, basically.
And this is why it's got red tape on it, because they're not going to make it enough for that. So there's no money for them to make that. So because they can't make money, everybody else is getting fucked.
And see these people
terrible.
that run these companies or politicians or whatever you want to call them that run this fucking shithole of a country. It's if they were in your position, they'd be able to click a finger. I'll go and do it. I can do what I want. But the normal human being,
if you had government ministers at the moment who were directly affected by, motor neuron disease, maybe a family member or even themselves having it, there would be billions getting ploughed into M&D research, not £50 million.
It's bad that it has to come to something like that, doesn't it?
Aye.
I mean, it's really,
and you look
somebody
at
really needs to take a long, hard look at themselves.
Look at the money that was embezzled through COVID. And it was embezzled. I don't care what they say.
Oh, you're right.
They stole £87 billion that's been accounted for.
Aye.
And yet they're only pledging £50 million to research a condition which, and Dodie Weir was very famous for saying it, that MND is not incurable, it's underfunded. Yeah. He said, there's a cure round the corner, but unfortunately the funds aren't there. Scientists and doctors can only do so much with the money they're being given.
Yeah.
And then there's the red tape and bureaucracy surrounding a lot of the treatments as well, especially in America. There was a guy in Oregon who was trialing what was he using again? Copper ATSM to stimulate the mitochondria and basically get the nerves working again. And they got it to mice model, and he basically inducing mice with ALS. The mice were becoming disabled, losing their movement, and then treating them with copper ATSM. It's a form of copper, and all of the mice were starting to regain movement. They were all getting up, walking about, and living their life, but they were having to be constantly treated with this. And the guy tried to, I can't remember his name now, but he tried to get it to human trials and he was shut down.
Made money in it.
And the same with Neurone as well. It's a form of stem cell treatment. Was developed by an Israeli company, but trialled in America. And a couple of people who've got YouTube channels actually with ALS. And one of the guys said that everybody on the trial he was on was showing signs of improvement. People in wheelchairs were starting to stand up and walk, albeit with a bit of trouble. But, they were walking across the room.
Progress in it.
Aye. People that couldn't lift their arms up were starting to, brush their hair.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth. Brush my teeth's a major effort and all, man. But
sorry, wee things you take for granted, innit?
It's just the simple things in life.
Aye.
When it becomes difficult, you're just like, this is brutal, man.
Dodie Weir, he had M&D as well, didn't he?
Aye.
See,
6 years.
Apologies for a bit of grim reaper here, but how did that make you feel watching like his funeral and on the news and stuff?
He died the day before I was diagnosed.
Seriously?
I get the diagnosis on the 24th of November. Dodie died on the 23rd.
So you'd maybe come out of the clinic or whatever looking for a bit of escape, and that would have been over the papers and stuff.
Oh, mate, it was all over social media, wasn't it?
Right.
How did that make you feel, man? Fucking terrified.
That's probably what brought a tear to my eye. To be honest,
you don't seem scared in a sense. You seem up for the fight. You seem as if
it's a fight,
and you don't.
That's what it is. That's the way I see it. It's a fight I need to win. So I'm not going to give up. I'm not up for ending up my wheelchair.
Is that a message you'll get to anybody that goes and gets this news from a doctor? Is you need to charge on and fight?
Fight it. Do your research. The information's all out there. You just need to find it. There's evidence in various countries all over the world to people. There's a doctor, he's on YouTube actually, called Richard Bedlack. He's an ALS doctor in America. And he's by a character, the guy, but he's got evidence of 48 ALS reversals. People that have suffered from the illness and through various treatments or, supplements that they've taken, they've managed to not necessarily cure it, but at least stop it.
Stop it, or at least slow it right down to a point where
slowing it down is a win. Stopping it's a massive one. you know, and if I manage to stop it and stop the progression, I'm hoping in 2, 3, 4 years, every time I go and see my neurologist, he tells me that there's no change, you know, and if I get that, I'll be happy with that.
And it's the 25th of June you're going to hear that?
25th of June, I fly out on the 25th of June, come back the 9th of July.
We'll post a link in that.
I think we'll put a bit of money in as well.
Definitely. I think a lot of people will be kind of, as you said, that there'll be a lot more people out here that are affected by this.
It's because you need to self-finance it as well. You know what I mean? People probably, they might do a bit of research and find there's a possibility, you know, like through ayahuasca. I think ayahuasca helped me mentally massively, because I find myself not being very negative about it anymore. You know, it is what it is, and I need to beat it. Whereas beforehand, again, I was quite positive, but not as positive as I am now. You know, I'm definitely more positive and more determined since I went to Peru. Yeah, it definitely changes your mindset.
It's an amazing story, mate. I mean, it sounds mad to say it's an amazing story when we all know that the fight is ongoing, but it's just, I think your positivity towards it's amazing, mate. And
I think it's the first time I've been sat here, mate, and I know that it's not what you're wanting, but it kind of got me a little wee bit there, and a bit of a lump in the back of my throat. And like, I just want to throw everything behind you, and anybody who's maybe feeling negative for small things in life, hopefully this kind of puts into perspective. And
again, anybody as well, and I say this through TikTok and stuff, is anybody that, you know, wants to touch base, get a chat, you know, just contact me. Just message me on, you know, find me on social media. It's not exactly hard to find.
I'm going to iterate what the boy said there. See if, I know this has all happened to you, but I think if there's anybody that's going to fight this and get a right good fucking fight, it's yourself, mate.
You're the first person that said that.
You've came here, wow, the positivity and just the knowledge I've got about it, and the fires in your belly, do you know what I mean?
Again,
I can see you're going to fucking go for it.
My knowledge is still quite limited. I mean, like I said, I've only been learning about it for, you know, since November. So December, January, February, March, April, May, and then we're going into June. So 7 months. You know, frying my brain with information every day.
Mate, it's more than about any of us in this room knew. We came into this kind of, we only knew like your Dodie Beers, Fernando Rickson's, guys like that. We only knew through their story, through the paper.
See, again, something I've come to the conclusion is that most people, when they're given a diagnosis like this, and not just ALS, you know, a lot of people that are diagnosed with cancer and various things, they all take their doctor's advice and they take their word as gospel. And I never done that. And I tell my doctors as well. I said, well, you know, they sent me an appointment for the 3rd of July. I'm going to be in Mexico. Then again, it happened in January, and they sent me an appointment through, and I was like, I'm going to be in Peru. And I'm like, why are you going to Peru? I went,
to do something you can.
Aye, to try and do something about this.
That's it, you've got to fight, mate, because I honestly, I say it time and time again, you go to a doctor and sometimes I feel as if they've got a script they've got to tell you.
Aye.
Whether they believe it or not, I don't know.
My mate's wife's a doctor, and when they first met, you know, Scott was always a loggerheads because he's a bit like me. You know, he thinks outside the box, and he'd be challenging his wife about certain things. And when she's gone, well, you know, I went to uni for this and I've studied this, and they went, he said, but you need to start looking outside that. He said, you're taught to think that this is basically everything, you know, and it's the only way to approach it. Whereas I don't believe that. Another thing as well is, I mean, is trying to stay, you know, physically active, because a lot of people, again, you know, through various things I've read and spoke to folk, a lot of folk, they lie down to it.
Aye.
You know, they get that diagnosis and they just think, you know, that's it.
Aye.
Is that maybe because they've seen the kind of high profile cases in the media and they go, fuck, is that the end outcome? I may as well just sit and enjoy it rather than a big battle.
Days,
I've had a few people comment as well, you know, like, you know, what if the fight doesn't work? You know, and I said, well, the end of the day, at least I tried.
I didn't even want to bring that up, but
Exactly.
like I was kind of thinking like if it didn't, and then it's just keeping that mindset after you come back for there. But we're not even thinking about it, we're not even talking about it.
You just need to go into it, don't you? Ready to go with it.
Logic tells me that stem cell treatment should help. You know, it's a degenerative illness, and regenerative medicine should be able to counteract what's happening. You know, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5 trips, you know, it's just about finding a way to finance it.
I think if there was any doubt in your head whatsoever, you wouldn't be doing it. So
no, I've looked at a few different things, and like I says, the company in Serbia, or the clinic in Serbia, I decided against that because of certain types of stem cell they were using. They were using autonomous stem cells. They were using bone marrow derived stem cells from adult donors, and then they were using mesenchymal as well as a different types, 3 different types. And I just kept thinking to myself, well, why are they using the 3 different types if these have been proven not as effective as umbilical stem cells? You know, it doesn't make sense. That's why I chose not to go with them. And they were twice the price.
Aye.
Twice the price for less the good stuff, basically.
Aye, they were more kind of, there was a lot of focus on physiotherapy and oxygen therapy and various different types of therapy along with the stem cell treatment with them. And I think that's why a lot of people maybe buy into it. But when I looked at the actual protocol regarding the stem cells themselves, that's when I thought, well, everything I've learned so far, Mexico, you know, makes more sense.
Aye. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this, Stuart? We'll obviously we'll get your fundraiser out there, and we're 100% behind you.
That's
Whatever we can for you.
Have you had any trolls on? You said you're on TikTok. You had any hate on that?
Sorry?
You said you're on TikTok, didn't you?
Aye, the TikTok's Fighting ALS.
Good.
That's the name. It's just, again, my ugly mug talking about everything I've been
That's
doing.
what needs to happen. If there's people talking, suppose that is a positive of having something like TikTok now is, I just said having instead of having it, didn't
I don't know if I sent you the video I made, basically showing the restrictions on my movement.
Aye.
And I made that a couple of weeks ago because it was one of the days where I think I went to take my medicine, the herbal medicine that I bought, and I couldn't open the bottle. You know what I mean? I'm like, shit, man, because you've probably seen the way I need to lift that.
No.
I press against it, and pressing against the glass of the bottle allows me to lift my arms up. Because if I try and lift my arm up,
I get you.
without that, I can't. You know, it's crazy. But it's mad that just doing one simple movement counteracts what's stopping it. You know, because some of the muscles are working, some of them aren't. You know, it's like all upper body, basically, traps, lats, deltoids, all the muscles in my shoulders are, you know, they're just kind of wasting away, and my upper bicep as well. But the lower bicep, see when I'm lying in my bed, I can actually trigger the lower bicep. But it's only that part of the muscle that moves. The rest of it doesn't.
See, when you're trying to move, does it feel as if you're fighting against somebody, or does it just feel as if nothing's...
It's almost like your brain's... This is why they thought it was FND. Because when I'm trying to lift my arm up, there's something what they thought was another signal being sent to counteract the movement. But if you're fighting against yourself and still losing muscle, then there's something really wrong.
Of course.
If anything, the muscle should have been retained. Maybe even started to like overdevelop.
Is there anything you do like that?
No, just obviously it's you don't need to say it, but just keep going on the path you're on, mate.
I'm intending to.
I'm tuned right in now, and I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for your time tonight, and hopefully we can get a message out to people and get your fundraiser in the right direction.
Thanks for having me on, man.
I think you're an inspiration, mate. You really are. You're fighting a good fight, as they say. It's a cliche, but you really are fighting a good fight.
I think I'm just fucking pig-headed, to be honest.
No, it is. You're inspiring, mate, and I think a lot of more people are going to realise that as well. It doesn't take us a celebrity or whatever to inspire people. Certainly humbled me, mate. It's
Diagnosis like this, it's devastating when you get it. I mean, I never realised how bad it was, but you just need to try and find a positive angle and stick to it.
You're not at the fight till you're at it. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, I've just got one last thing. See, when you're next time we're going to Sanctuary, can you give me a phone and go, because that's a full market untapped upper class birds that I need to get in about.
Well, Chris Lasani and Faddy, if you're working on the door, and any of the boys that work in Sanctuary, if you see this, remember this guy's face and let him in, lads.
You'll not forget that.
Don't forget, he's very short. You'll go right.
This, aye. I'm actually all right. I'm calm.
Make sure you slag him for the shop.
Well, that's an only fish. Stuart, it's been brilliant, and thank you very much for sharing your story, and we'll get your story as much as we can.
Brilliant, thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks
mate.
for having me on.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.